Welcome to another episode of Team Anywhere, where CEOs, leaders, and experts at building teams,
companies,
organizations,
and amazing cultures share how to lead from anywhere in the world. I'm your co-host on the East Coast, Ginny Bianco Mathis.
And I'm your co-host on the West Coast, Mitch Simon. And we invite you to join us to Team Anywhere. Is there a connection between leadership and mindfulness? Is there a connection between profitability and mindfulness? What is the benefit of mindfulness on a remote team, and why is it crucial now more than ever? On today's podcast, we interview Dr. Keren Tsuk and find out how mindfulness was actually responsible for a company getting acquired. Hello and welcome to another episode of Team Anywhere. I'm your co-host on the West Coast, Mitch Simon, and on the East Coast, we have our co-host, Ginny Mathis. We're excited today to have on the podcast Dr. Keren Tsuk. Keren is the founder and CEO of Wisdom to Lead and a keynote speaker on Mindfulness Based Leadership. She helps companies deal with their challenges and handle organizational tensions through mindfulness. She's also the host of a phenomenal podcast, Mind Your Leadership. So, Keren, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's just begin. Please tell us, we're a year into COVID. Please tell us, how have things been for you over the last year, and what are your challenges and what are your wins?
So actually, my challenges were to adapt to the virtual world, I think, like everybody. So at the same time, it was my wins because it helped me to work virtually and expand my horizon. So, once we embrace our challenges and don't let them stop us, we can extend our reach globally. So this was my main challenge actually in the last year. So now I'm facilitating my courses, my lectures, meditation via Zoom. The only thing that I'm doing offline is a retreat. Once in a while, I facilitate face-to-face a retreat. And once the skies will be open, I will do it abroad. So looking forward to it.
Okay, we can't wait to see you here in San Diego.
Me too.
All right, great. And what have been your wins then? It sounds like in your challenges, you actually have a lot of wins.
Yes, and I also finished my book. I've written a book that will soon be published called Mindfully Wise Leadership, The Secret of Today's Leaders. So it's also one of my wins that will be out there. And the wins is to work with people globally and to extend the reach. This is, as I feel, my win, to extend my activity.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into mindfulness-based leadership?
Okay, so actually I was raised in a home when my dad was from the technology world and my mom was from the spiritual and consciousness world. And I always look to blend these two aspects in my life. So it was my leading question in my life. And I went to be an organization consultant to work with organizations and leaders to help them increase their self-awareness, their consciousness in order to lead better nowadays and at all. And then I I conducted my PhD. I did a case study. I was 2 years in a high-tech company. And my leading question was, what is the role of leaders nowadays in leading financially successful organizations alongside motivating the employees for meaningfulness, intrinsic motivation, in order to enable them to fulfill themselves and to be creative and for the organization to be innovative. And I found that mindfulness is a crucial element that leaders will need to embrace nowadays. That leaders will need to embrace nowadays. And 5 years ago, I was invited to Hong Kong to PolyU, a professor who opened the second degree, their master degree, called Executive Meaningfulness Innovative Leadership. And he actually opened the 30 hours component of mindfulness and he invited me to teach there. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
A
And then
mindfulness degree. Whoa.
Yes. So then I understood that this will be the tools I will bring. Then all the dots are connected, and I understood that this will be the tools I will bring to leaders and organization in order to help them to lead from a better place. And
Great. So you're in your PhD. Did you find the connection? Did you find that connection between mindfulness and profits?
I found that, yes, the main three characters of leaders nowadays, in order to lead a financially successful organization, is to be able to be mindful, to hold tensions. The modern organization world has a lot of tensions between the short term and the long term, between speed and quality, between the employees' needs and the organization's needs. And once a leader acts from a present and mindful place, he can hold the tensions and enable the right solution to emerge and to be innovative and creative. And the last thing is leading from being as a servant. Like mindful leadership is being able to connect deeper to ourselves and to really listen to our customers' needs, to our employees' needs, to the community, and to see how we can serve them better. So once we are acting from a present and mindful place and listening deeply, we can create and produce products and services that have value for customers, right? And then we can succeed. It's a win-win. The people, planet, profit paradigm. It's a new paradigm, actually. So,
Keren, could you paint a picture? My favorite coaching phrase. Can you paint a picture of a mindful leader talking to a hybrid team? Some are in the office, some are out, scattered all over the world, maybe. And the leader is being mindful and role modeling that because that is what he or she wants the team to do. What kinds of things, behaviors, might you be encouraging that leader to do, to say, etc.?
Amazing. I love these questions because it's really practical. So opening a meeting, first of all, I will do a checkup. Ask each participant on the scale of 1 to 10, how present is he right now? Because usually when we come to the meeting via Zoom, my head can be with my kids, I can be distracted. But once I'm saying it and talking it and putting it on the table, I can be more present here with you in this meeting. So this is the first thing. And now through the pandemic that all of us work remotely, I think the anxiety increases and the stress. So I think you can invite people to speak and be empathic toward them and say, okay, Johnny, I see you're stressed. How can I be here with you? How do you need me to be here with you? And also being vulnerable and sharing with your employees what you feel right now. So one of the managers who went through my course, we touched upon the vulnerability, the ability to be vulnerable and connected to our own feelings and to share them and to be empathic. And she told me that she went through a very difficult year because she also, as all of us, went through the pandemic. But beyond that, she divorced this year and she has 2 little kids. So she was really, and she's a senior manager, so she really was holding all of it inside of her. And after the course, she said, okay, I'm going to share with my team. And she told me that she was really vulnerable and share with them what she went through this year and the divorce and the tough situation she was in. And she said, wow, it was amazing. Everybody was so empathic toward her. And she legitimized for her employees to also be vulnerable. So one of them said, I feel really lonely nowadays. And others said, I feel really anxiety and stress. So being a leader and being authentic and vulnerable, you create space for others to be present with what it is right now. And once you see people and you connect in a deeper level, people will engage with you and you can do everything with them. And also the ROI will increase because
and that's where your servant leadership comes in.
Keren, I would like to ask for those of us who don't have a lot of practice in being empathetic. And we have, and what we're finding here in the United States, I'm sure you're finding the same where you are in Israel, is with the different generations, right? So if I'm a boss, and then let's say I'm in my 50s, and I don't have kids at home, and I have a nice house with lots of rooms. And then one of my teammates says, "Gosh, I'm really stressed out. I've got kids, or I'm going through something really." Then how do you help that leader empathize or commiserate or connect to someone if they haven't really practiced being empathetic and being connected to that type of, let's say, uncomfortable emotion?
It's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer if it doesn't embrace the mindfulness, because I will go back to understand what does mindfulness means to our listeners who doesn't know, and then we'll elaborate on it, and hopefully I will answer it. So for me, being actually the classical definition of mindfulness of Dr. John Kabat-Zinn is the ability to be present here and now intentionally and in a non-judgmental way. Okay, so now when I'm present with you in this podcast, I'm fully with you. I'm not in my wandering mind thinking what was happening with my kids on Zoom, not Zoom. I'm here fully with you. Okay, my definition for mindfulness, it's the ability to be aware of an experience that we are going through. It can be a thought that runs through my mind. It can be an emotion that I'm feeling. It can be a process that I'm going through, like the coronavirus, all of us are going through, in a non-judgmental way and without being managed by it. Let me give you an example. What does it mean? Okay, because it helps us to understand. So if I'm really feeling stressed right now when I'm sitting in the meeting and I'm stressed, okay, so if I want acknowledge and give place to this emotion and connect to it, probably it will manage me. And I will be stressful during the meeting and I won't be with you, right? So it will manage my being, my doing. But once I will acknowledge it and even will share with my team or with my manager, say, I'm really stressed right now. I don't know what to do with it, but this is what I'm feeling right now. So for the manager, so it helped me to observe it, but not being managed by it. So as a manager, if one of my employees will say it, or if I can see it, I will say, okay, Johnny, I see that you're stressed. I can understand your stressful situation with your kids. Let's think together how we can make it more productive, this meeting. Maybe if we can move it a little bit, the meeting, maybe, I don't know, you want to do a break, 5-10 minutes to finish your things out there and come fresh to the meeting. So it's like being curious, also seeing the other people and giving them place and giving place to his emotion. That's okay. As leaders, and I think as people, we are scared to feel because we scared that it will flood us, right? And we won't be able to deal with it. But once we don't touch it, it floods us. But if we're working with it, we can manage it and not ignore it. So, I think as people in the Western world, we really learn to disconnect for our emotion because we are scared. So most of the day we're working from our mind. But at the end of the day, all the creativity and compassion and passion, it's in our heart. And we want to be creative and compassionate, closing this part within us. So mindfulness enables us to be more complete, to work also with our minds, but also connected to our heart without being managed by it, but managing our emotions and our process that we are going through.
Why is mindfulness so important today?
So there are a few reasons. First of all, we are in the midst of the transformation of the coronavirus pandemic outbreak, and it's transforming the way we live as well as the economic and the business world. And as managers who want to run successful, creative, and innovative companies, we need to be flexible in our thinking and innovative and rapidly adjust to the changing needs of the environment and the market. So we need to adopt new tools to motivate our organization to be at the cutting edge. So this is the first thing. The second thing, we're living in uncertain times. Today is the corona, tomorrow it will be something else. I think a crucial element of leaders nowadays is the ability to be present in the uncertain times and have an anchor and present and not be moved from the winds of change, because otherwise we will lose it. The other important aspect that we need, we are in the times of a great racial and political diversity and tensions. And I think we need as leaders and managers to increase our ability to be compassionate and empathic toward others. So I think this is the main aspect. And again, today we are working remotely. The anxiety is on the rise, stressful situations, people feeling lonely. So again, we need to embrace and to increase our ability to connect better with people, to see them as human, to deepen the connection through this technological world. So I think this is the main crucial things we need to embrace, the mindfulness aspect in the day-to-day.
So can you? I know we've already asked you for a couple of examples. I'm gonna ask you for a lot of examples today.
That's good. I have a lot of. I can
Great.
ready.
Uh, so I'm a manager, and I'm facing lots of change, and I'm facing all my teammates are across the planet, and I feel like I'm losing connection with them. What do I do? Like what do I do, and how does it help?
First of all, I think it's important to connect to each and every one of them one-on-one. You can set a meeting via Zoom and speak with them and be present with them. See how they feel, how they handling this situation. How can you be there for them? We talked about leader as a servant. How can I serve my employees? What they need from me right now? And sometimes they only want you to listen and be with them. As leaders, we learn that we need to bring the answer, the solution, but that's not right anymore. We need to be present. And sometimes when we are just present with our employees, things get resolved quicker and they get what they need only by you listening and they are talking, and then the solution can emerge. You don't need to bring the solution. So first of all, I think you need a one-on-one connection. And with the team, I really encourage you to have a meeting, not instrumental meeting to connect. You can also only start the meeting 10 minutes from a deeper connection, to invite each and everyone to share his experience this week. Maybe something good that he went through, maybe it's challenging times, maybe what he's struggling with, whatever you want to bring to the table. But invite people to be present beyond the results, beyond the efficiency. And when there's a connection and people feeling seen, they will really connect and engage. So I think this is, it's looked like in a paradoxical way, a waste of time. But at the end of the day, it really increases the productivity and the teamwork. So this is my advice for leaders who want to engage the people in these challenging times.
So Karen, should we have been doing this before the pandemic, or is it just now that we should be taking on these mindfulness practices?
No, as Dr. John Kabat-Zinn say, if till now it was a vitamin, now it's crucial. We need it. So we always needed to do it, to connect as human beings, to be human, to be present. But nowadays, we must do it. Otherwise, we really will lose the people. And we also will lose ourselves. Look, it's a challenging time for each and every one of us, also for leaders, for managers, for individuals. It doesn't matter. So it's also a tool to stop, pause, and be present with ourselves also. And when we are practicing mindfulness, we're also practicing the ability to accept ourselves and be compassionate toward ourselves. My viewpoint is that we can't be for other more than what we are for ourselves. So I can't love anybody more than I love myself, right? If I'm judgmental toward myself, I will be judgmental toward my employee because I don't know something else. So it starts within us. For me, leadership, the foundation of leadership nowadays is the self-management. It's the ability to manage our internal world, our thoughts, our emotion, the process that we are going through, our time. And leading from this place, we're leading from an example. So we walk the talk. So if I set a meeting and don't attend my own meeting on time, how will be people engaged? Apparently they won't engage, right? However, when I'm starting with myself and then I engage people, I'm leading by example, so people will follow me. So it's the same thing. Accepting as I practice more mindfulness, I'm less judgmental. And then I can be more acceptance of other people. It doesn't mean that I don't need to be demanding, I can be demanding, but I can also be human and see the person and the struggle is going through. It's this what I talked about, holding the tension, right? Holding the tension between the need of the company right now to deliver and the needs of the employee. And when we're present, we can handle it better and find the accurate solution.
I was just going to ask you about the tension part. So let's say I have a team who happens to be out in Chicago. I'm wherever. I'm in a different location. And they're not meeting the product delivery date or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have been trying, I try to be mindful. I have the regular meetings, and yet I have to address this issue. How do I do this in a mindful way?
Okay. So, first of all, in my research, I found a crucial tool that I call it a central tool. I call it dialogue spaces. What does it mean? It means being present in the meeting and bringing myself fully and listening to the other person. So, I can say, okay, we have an issue now because we didn't deliver and we need to deal with it. So I want to share with you what I feel regarding it and my viewpoint. And I'll be happy to invite you to share your viewpoints and what you feel regarding this issue. And let's hold this place for a moment. Let's be in the uncertain area. Maybe we won't come to a conclusion in this meeting, and that's okay. So I'm given legitimized to not know the answer, to be in the uncertain, and to respect other people, even that we don't need to agree, okay? But we, for a minute, pausing and listening and being present. And when we enable in this space and really listening, and the accurate solution will emerge. And it will emerge beyond each and every one of us. It will be a different solution. It won't be what I thought in the beginning and not what Mitch thought, but we'll find the accurate solution that will be the better.
And one more follow-up question to that. So here I am, I'm having this discussion. I've been practicing trying to be mindful. I'm using some good dialogue. Something happens in the meeting and I go off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of mindfulness. What do you suggest to leaders? How do I bring that back?
Okay. I talked about it before. When I speak, when I teach in my course, and I say we have two layers of communication. We have the rational communication that we're really good in it in the organizational world, and the emotional discourse that we don't use usually. So, if someone lost it, or even I lost it, I say, okay, look, I want to pause for a minute. I feel I lost it. I feel I'm really angry, and the anger manage me right now. So I want to pause and to set back, and maybe to invite other people to talk, or if my employee get angry and started shouting, so I can reflect upon it and say, okay, Johnny, I see you are really stressed right now. I see you. However, let's see how we can talk in a different way to engage people. Maybe share with us your experience. When we share the experience, it's not a finger pointing communication. We're not judging each other. We're trying to really be present with the different experiences that people are going through. And from this place, we can listen deeper to what's needed right now. And maybe he's really stressful because he promised the client to deliver on time, and he didn't. Now we need to confront his client. He doesn't feel comfortable with it. That's legitimate, right? So even me, as another employee that I'm listening to him, I say, okay, I can understand that he's angry. I would also be angry if I was in his shoes. So it's broaden our perspective. It enables us to see the broader picture and not act upon our emotions. But the tips that I give to leaders, it's dare to speak the emotion. I know it's not a common language, but dare to say what you feel. I feel uncomfortable right now. We don't even know to name it because we don't use the language. So even say, I feel confused right now. I want to pause it for a moment. This is what I'm feeling. I don't know to say anything beyond this, but this is what my experience right now. Is it any other person wants to share with us how we experienced this meeting?
Great. That's great. A question I have is, Karen, I'd love to know of any, we use the word interventions. I'd love to know of any case studies where you have entered a company that, let's say, definitely could use greater mindfulness. Perhaps I'm sure they didn't call you up and say, "Oh, what we're lacking is mindfulness." They probably had an issue, and
Mm-hmm.
you came in and helped them. And I'd love for you to kind of share with us maybe an example of
Great.
how you helped a team work.
Great. So I have a lot of examples. I will pick one. So I had two co-founders of a startup company that they almost were acquired, but they didn't. And they were like in a trauma experience. And they had a new opportunity to be acquired by a new company. And then they called me to help them, to succeed with this acquisition. And I started working with the co-founders. And first we made the clarity about the motivation and the ability to work together, and we coordinated the expectations. But along the way, I understood that they have a VP, a senior VP, that he was very professional in his doing. However, he didn't have a social skills. So he was shouting at everybody, and people left the company because of his behavior. And it was a startup company. It's like was 10, 20 people. You can feel each and every person. So it's really crucial. And through the process, I saw that the leaders, they couldn't see the effect this manager had on their company. People who live in were afraid of him. And because, the manager, that the CEO, had a few things that he was thinking about. First of all, he was afraid to confront this manager. It was the worst fear ever he had. The other one was he was afraid of the monitoring of the company. What will happen to the company when he leaves, and what will he say about the company? It can ruin the company. And the third thing that we're thinking about is they really needed this position. If they will let them go, in the startup nation, they needed them. They were scared that they won't have the right people there, and they will lose their ability to deliver and act. So this is what he was scared about. And through the process, so he was really acting upon his fear, because the fear blinded him. He couldn't see the impact it had on his company, or the fear that he had. So through the process, I reflected him the fear, and I was present with this fear. I gave it legitimization. I said, it's okay to be scared, to confront him. That's okay. But I also helped him to connect to the broader picture beyond the feeling that made him freeze. And once he could connect to the broader picture, he dared to be present, to feel his fear, but not let it manage him, but manage his fear. And he started having a difficult conversation with this VP, and reflecting him that, and started putting boundaries and saying, okay, we can't go on like this. We need to see are we going forward. And it was really from a respectful place. And what was amazing for me? I wasn't present in this conversation, because it was their conversation. However, it was amazing because after only a few meetings they had between them from a really respectful place, the VP understood that it's time for him to go on. And for no hard feelings, they understood that it's finished, and that's okay. And so what was amazing for me, even beyond this, that only 1 week after he left, they found the accurate person for the job. So it was amazing, when you're really working from a respectful place for the people, for the process, things are synchronized, right? And it's like investing minimum effort and getting the maximum results and being in a flow situation. So for me, it was really exciting.
That. Karen, it's like, so what's the ROI on mindfulness? Oh, we just got, several $1 million acquired, but, it's not that important. So great.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there anything we haven't asked you that we should be asking you about mindfulness?
That you didn't ask me? No, I think you asked me I can talk till tomorrow.
I got that. Yeah, no, it's great.
But yeah, I think the crucial element, yes, that I want to leave people with is dare to listen to yourself, dare to connect to yourself. It's scary sometimes, people, we are not regular to listen to ourselves. We are so distracted listening outside, but we have wisdom within ourselves, and we usually live the life through our mind. But the mind is one tool. We have a lot of wisdom in ourselves, our intuition, our sensations, our emotion, and it comes and tells us something. Dare to listen to it. Another nice example for listening to our intuition. One of my clients was in a point that she needed to decide where to go. She was looking for a new job, and she had two options. One of the options was a big company with a big monitoring, and people told her in a high salary. So people told her, you should go to this company for sure, no questions. And she had another offer, a smaller company and with less good conditions, but she said, I don't know, something feels in my stomach, in my belly to go to this options. But she was pondering it, and she decided to go with her intuition. And it was amazing, because only a few weeks after she decided to go with her intuition and to listen to her heart, the bigger company lost. Folded.
Wow.
And if she would have listened to the distraction outside, she would she would need to find another job. And so it's listen to your intuition, dare to listen. And even if you don't know what does it mean, ponder with it, take the time, stay with it, go to sleep with it, be with it for a few days. It's okay. Sometimes it will be more productive to take these few days than run on automatic behavior and not listen to all the messages that we have along the way. So this is what I came to my mind when you asked me.
Yeah, I would love, Ginny, I would love to bring Keren back on and just do a whole hour on intuition. Because intuition is what completely changed my life. And we don't talk about it. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to listen to it, but we're really good at avoiding it.
Yeah.
Well, great, Keren. This was fantastic, and I love this. And you could talk forever, and I could listen forever.
That's a good match.
I know. And what I'd like to know is what is the title of your book, and when is it coming out?
My title of the book is Mindfully Wise Leadership: The Secret of Today's Leaders, and it will come in a few months. June, July. I don't know yet the accurate date, but when I will know it, I will be happy to share with you.
Great. How many? In what languages will it be?
It will be in English at the beginning.
It'll be in English. Fantastic. Okay, great. That's June, July. So we're having you back on the show in June, July.
Great.
And how can we find you?
So you can also, as you said, I have my own podcast called Mind Your Leadership.
Great.
And you can visit my website, www.wisdomtolead.co. And on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook, social media.
Great. We'll put all those links in there. Well, Ginny and I would love to thank you. Ginny, any closing remarks?
Yes. I'd love, and we can pick up on this maybe in another podcast. In a way, it's trust. When you go to mindfulness, you can trust yourself, your own intuition, and learn how to do that, and trust those that you're interacting with, and you'll get the higher performance out of both. Amazing. That's just wonderful.
That's great. Awesome, and it's really important. The trust issue, it's the basic today to lead. Trust ourselves, our pattern.
And I'm walking away on this podcast with, follow your intuition, be mindful, and people will buy your company. I just love that. So thank you very much, Keren, and thank you, Ginny, and thank you all of our listeners to another incredible episode of Team Anywhere. We will see you next time.